Hello everybody. Bear with me for just a moment while I find a place to sit. I've got a difficult video to make. Difficult because it involves a sensitive subject, and a type of subject that I don't usually talk about on any of my channels. But last night I did a video on the LylesBrother channel talking about, and I mentioned a friend whose father was in the war. And it got a chain of thoughts in my mind that I want to share with you now. Largely because I think that they just need to be captured, because I think it was a unique experience that is illustrative of history. And I'm not going to embellish or make any judgments or any sort of a commentary on it. I'm just going to state the facts as they happened and let you guys have it, in whatever way you want. Okay, here's what it is. Years ago, I met Yumiko's uncle, who was older than Yumiko's father, good friend, very close to the family. He was in World War II. He was an officer in China. And one day we went over to their house in downtown Shizuoka. And we'd been hanging out. I'd been out with him in the garden, and I was complimenting on his garden. It was really nice. And he invited me upstairs. I went upstairs, and he opened the closet, and he pulled out this, I'll try to get out of the wind here. He pulled out if I get close like this, it's because I'm trying to block the wind. He brought out a box that had a whole lot of stuff in it, and he had in the corner there, he had a sword, and these were his war treasures. Not treasures, maybe is not the right word. The stuff he brought back from the war. He was part of the campaign in China. And he had all kinds of stuff. He was an officer, so he had his officer's samurai sword, which was his pride and joy, and he showed that to me. He had some uniform elements of uniform. It wasn't all there. He had his helmet. He had various and sundry little personal items, all the stuff that he brought back from the war and kept. And then right there in the bottom there, he had an old photo album. And he was really happy with the photo album. He showed it to me, and I could see him with all of his friends in the war, and a lot of them were very happy pictures, smiling, having a good time, and in various places. A lot of them were with local people, Chinese people, sitting together, and and it went on, and nothing dramatic or anything, just typical, snapshots in there. That's that. Go forward a couple of years, and I've been an antique dealer for a couple of years after that. And I got hooked up with the there's a wholesale and a retail antique market here in Shizuoka. The wholesale market occurs at three auctions every month in Shimizu, and it's open to dealers only. And so dealers like me would go to that auction and the materials that came to that auction came directly from the households. There were a class of dealers that would go out and find these households where they were either destroying the house or something had happened, and they would acquire all kinds of goodies. They don't have garage sales here in Japan. Instead, they somehow get a hold of these guys that are in the antique market who bring items direct from the homes to this wholesale market where dealers are like me. We then go buy the items and then resell them in our stores or flea markets or whatever the case be. So you see how it's a two-step process. It goes from the homes to the wholesalers to the retailers. Okay, now I was part of the wholesale team, so I would be there and I would see these things direct. I mean, sometimes they came right from the house that same day. I mean, they're coming, loading it down. They just put it in from the person's farmhouse, and then they're offloading it there, not sorted, nothing. A lot of this stuff came, like I said, came direct. So I did that for years. I was 3 times a month, 2 or 3 times a month. And what I started to discover was that there were these soldiers like my wife's uncle who would pass away. Their families had really, the Japanese, they're not too fond of, keeping stuff from the war. And so they would just take grandpa's stuff and as a whole and just give it, give it away. And they would appear at this wholesale auction, and there would be, the way it works at the auction is there's these shelves, and it's all lined up on shelves, and then they're on trays, and then they take those things and they put them on a series of tatami mats, and they slide forward. People sit on either side, and they slide them forward till it gets to the auctioneer, and this gives everybody a chance to look at it. And then the auctioneer brings it up and says, well, how much do you want? 2,000 yen, 3,000 yen, whatever the case may be. But if you get there early, like I always did, you can wander through these stacks and look at everything right off from the house. And I always did that. I always get there, an hour or so early, and I would wander through, and I got used to discovering these trays, just like my wife's uncle's thing, boxes full of the warrior stuff. So the guy came back from wherever he was, if he survived the war, and he brought that stuff back, and there it was. And it was just like the uncle stuff. There would be like little trinkets here and there, maybe his uniform, his helmet, his boots were a common thing. I saw boots all the time, these old beaten up old World War II boots, helmets dinged up, bented up, even some with bullet holes. It was really fascinating stuff. And photo albums. And that's where this is where this gets interesting. Now, these things would be sold as a lot. They'd be brought up, and okay, and it always went dirt cheap. No one really had much interest in this stuff. You could buy for for $10, you could buy in a complete World War II soldiers, authentic everything, including the photo album. Now, remember, this stuff didn't get really heavily scrutinized before it came on the market. So I got to see this stuff firsthand. If you look through the photo albums, which I often did, not often, but periodically, you would find really, really disturbing photos. Here's where I have to watch my words, because I don't know what these photos represented. I don't know if they represented the aftermath of trials in which insurgents in China, or I don't know. Okay, just stop, Kurt. Stop trying to make this easier. Just tell it what it is. They were disturbing photos. Lots of photos of decapitation, of heads lined up on a log, for example, of bodies laid out with horrible wounds, including children and women. Bodies laid out, soldiers amidst the bodies, and these were tough to look at. And they would be in the soldier's album. So the soldier would be in China, he would have his camera, he'd take photos of he and his buddy standing before gates, and then every once in a while he'd snap a picture of dead bodies and whatever the heck was going on. Like I said, I didn't see those a lot. I would look through them. I didn't always look through them, but I would look through them, and once in a while I'd find those. So here's what gets interesting. I never bought those things. I didn't deal in war stuff, and so I let them go. But what would happen is a lot of that stuff that would be sold at that wholesale market would then appear on the retail market, the flea markets and the like around town. And often, whatever appeared in that wholesale market, I would go to the flea market, the following weekend. And hey, there's the same thing, I get to see how they marked it up and everything. It was really interesting, you knew the same guys. I bid it after that thing, I wanted that same thing, and he got it, now he's selling it for this much. I would see those same kits, basically sold as a kit, taken out, put there with a helmet and everything. But the one thing that was always absent, the photos were never there. So the photos were taken out. So I would see these really difficult photos in the wholesale market, and then not on the retail market. And lead from that what you want. I don't think it was any conspiracy of any sort. I think it was sensitive marketing. I mean, you don't want to, who wants to, I wouldn't want to put those kind of photos on the market. And so I don't think there was any conspiracy there to hide anything. I just think that they didn't, the dealers knew better than to do that. So there's a lot, I'm being bitten. Look at this. I'm being bitten by ants. Hey, you guys, leave me alone. Maybe that's my penance I have to pay for bringing up this difficult subject. Now, I did buy photos. I was into photos from my own personal collection, and I did sell a lot of photos on the online as well. But I didn't buy. They were always built up with the military stuff. So I would buy boxes of family photos, and I did get my fair share of those, photos in there. And I've got a little box. I never sold them, and I've never listed them. I've got a little box at home of these photos, challenging photos that came into my life as an antique dealer. But I don't know what to do with them. There you go. I'm not even going to try to talk about it or anything like that. It's really difficult, especially because I'm an American. How can I do this? I apologize if I've upset anybody. I've apologized to my to Japanese viewers if this is a sensitive topic. But I thought it was important to bring that up. I just got to say this. Atrocities happen on all sides. Atrocities happen on all sides in all the war, and I don't even know if these things were atrocities. Maybe these were just capital crimes that for some reason or another were documented. I don't know, but there you go. There's the chain of events, the sequence of events that happened. In my experience as an antique dealer here in Japan, witnessing evidence of the war. Okay, take care, everybody. Bye bye, and have a good day. See you. Okay, friends, in a puny attempt to try and redeem myself from the video I just made, which it wasn't my intent at all to do anything, you know what I'm saying. I'm going to share with you another story. This is a brief one that was related to my father, regarding Japan and the USA. And this one is in regards to the USA. You know, basically this is definite photo doctoring. My dad, he came to Japan 9 times, or something like that, 13 times, something like that, a lot of times during his career. And he told me a story that really, he was shook up, really shook up after this one. He had been in Japan, and I don't remember when this was, I was a kid, and he had been in Japan and had been at the airport and getting ready to board his flight, and he had seen a newspaper. He couldn't read it, but it was a photo right on the newspaper. There was some sort of an issue going on in the world with some Middle Eastern country at the time, and there had been some sort of hostages, and hostage takers had been captured, and the image on the front, even though he couldn't read it, the image on the front page showed one of the hostage takers bound up, or laying, not bound up, laying there. And my dad said it was very clear his arms had been severed. You could see that his arms were cut off in the photo. This is in Japan. Okay, now Japan was neutral on all of this. They could just show the photos, you know, the raw photo as it was. Here's where it got disturbing. My dad got on the plane, flew back to the United States, got to LA, got off the plane and saw, I think it was the LA Times or something like that in Los Angeles there, and he had to take a double take because he looked and the same photo was there in the LA Times, only it had been photo doctored to make it look like the man's arms were tied behind his back. Now, my dad told me the reason that this was disturbing to him was that the U.S. at that time had apparently had a reason to have more friendly relations with whatever country this was involved with, and so clearly, you know, a major publication had done some photo doctoring to protect the truth in a way. And now what I'm trying to say, if in the first video if I gave you the impression that the Japanese antique dealers that I worked with here were culling out these photos to not appear on the public market here in Japan, then if that's what, and I didn't mean, if that's what you got from it, then I hope that you'll get some balance in realizing that even though I don't know if that was deliberate here in Japan, certainly was the case in my own country, where somebody somewhere high up has enough power to control the publications, and I think that's news to nobody. The the publications and what they're showing. So there we go. Why does this whole subject make me ill? But I guess I felt it important to share my experience. I just think it was a strange one, and probably not one that has happened very much. Okay, I'm going to sign off. I feel sick. Bye-bye.